Namaste, Namaskar, Pranam. Now we will take up reading of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And before we start the reading of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, let us do the meditation on Bhagavad Gita. Let us meditate upon Gita Dhyana. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्बं त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्. Om, salutation to that Satchidananda, the ultimate reality, the supreme Brahman. Parthaya Pratibodhitam. Pratibodhitam is being enlightened. Enlightened who? Partha, Arjuna. By whom? Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam, the Lord Narayana, Lord Krishna himself, whose advice has enlightened Arjuna. Vyasena gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam. Vyasena, by Vyasa. Gratitam, incorporated. Where? Who is Vyasa? Vyasa is Purana Munina, ancient sage Vyasa. He has incorporated this advice given by Lord himself to Arjuna for giving him enlightenment. What Vyasa has done, he has incorporated this advice Madhye Mahabharatam, in the Mahabharata. Advaitamrita Varshinim, Bhagavatim, the goddess Gita, is like bestower of Advaita Amrita. The Amrita is nectar. Advaita is non-dualistic philosophy, non-dualistic knowledge. The bestower of the nectar of non-dualistic knowledge. This Bhagavati, this goddess Gita, Ashtadashadhyayinim, having 18 chapters, 18 adhyayas. Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambam. O my beloved mother, O my affectionate mother, Tvam anusandadhami, I meditate upon thee. Bhagavad Gita, O my affectionate mother, Bhagavad Gita, I meditate upon thee. And how is this Bhagavad Gita? Bhavadveshinim. She is the destroyer of the cycle of rebirth and death. Birth and death. No more rebirth for him or her who meditates upon Bhagavad Gita. So that is about the Gita Dhyana. And coming to the reading of Bhagavad Gita, all those who have heard my talks on Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna in Bengali, and explaining the meaning in English. Every chapter of the Ramakrishna Kathamrita, or the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna in Bengali, the author of that Gospel, Sri Mahendranath Gupta, although he has hidden his name as being an author, he has put a pen name M with great humility, because he is the servant of Sri Ramakrishna. He says, I cannot put my name. I'm just a servant. I'm just a son. I'm just a child of Sri Ramakrishna. Unless he tells, I cannot write. So the authorship, he doesn't give it to his name. He just writes M and stop. So that Vachanamrit, Sri M has started, every chapter he starts with a shloka. And most of the chapters, the shloka is from Bhagavad Gita. Most of the chapters with Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes he has used shlokas from other scriptures like Mahanirvana Tantra And uh, in all the chapters we have seen that the shloka that he used, the verse that he has used from Bhagavad Gita, it is very much in line with the teaching that Sri M was going to narrate in that chapter. It is very much in line. Sri Ramakrishna's teaching getting in line with that particular verse from Bhagavad Gita, and that he has incorporated to start the chapter. Like Sri Vyasa has incorporated Bhagavad Gita, as we have seen, Madhya Mahabharata, in between Mahabharata, he has put this compilation of Bhagavad Gita. Like, and then while reading the Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, and every chapter reading with the shloka from Bhagavad Gita, then I thought, okay, it is so relevant. The shloka that Sri M has selected for chapter is so relevant that all the shlokas from the Bhagavad Gita must be relevant at some point or other in our lifetime. In all the great teachings, there is a relevance, there must be relevance of all these shlokas some of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, in this chapter, there are around 700 odd shlokas, and they really, they take us from one step of spirituality to another. They teach us Karma Yoga, they teach us Jnana Yoga, they teach us Bhakti Yoga, and they take us forward on this path. Not only giving us knowledge, but even removing the delusions, removing the misconceptions that we have had in leading this worldly life. Now, Bhagavad Gita is also considered to be, there is another shloka in the salutation to Gita, Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogda Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsaha Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gita Amritam Mahat. Shlok says, all the Upanishads of the scriptural writings, all the Upanishads put together, they can be formed as cows. And Lord Gopala, Lord Krishna, in his aspect as Gopal, as a cowherd boy, Rakhal, in his in his aspect as cowherd boy, he is milking these Upanishads, the cow of Upanishads, and giving it as Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all the scriptures in Hindu tradition. The Vedas, the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras. Sri Krishna has created an essence of all the teachings and put them in these 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. And who is the beneficiary of this? Partho Vatsaha, the disciple Arjun, is also known as Partha. Partha is the calf. Partha is the calf, and because of him, for Partha, Sri Krishna has drawn the milk from the udder of that cow of all the Upanishads and scriptures. And that milk is now being consumed by all the people, by all the intellectuals. They are drinking it, and drinking this milk is nothing but the supreme nectar of the Gita. So that is what the greatness of Gita has been highlighted in the writings of the great sages also. Now, so with this thought, I thought, fine. Let us take up the reading of Bhagavad Gita as it is, and what we can learn from each shlok, what we can learn from each chapter, that we shall see now. Just a brief introduction that all of us, I mean, who has read anything about Bhagavad Gita know that under what circumstances Sri Krishna gave this uh, beautiful advice to Arjuna, the celestial song of Bhagavad Gita. In the midst of battle, war is just about to start between the Kauravas and the Pandavas. Kauravas who have grabbed the land, grabbed the kingdom which righteously belonged to Pandavas. And they tried a lot for the compromise, it was not possible, and then finally this decision had to be taken that there will be a war. There will be a mighty war between these two uh, uh, brothers, these two cousins. Pandavas on one side, Pandavas on the side of righteousness, Kauravas, the unrighteous cousins of Pandavas. And although they were unrighteous, Kauravas still had the support, unfortunate support of the stalwarts like Pitamaha Bhishma, the mighty Guru Dronacharya. So these two armies, very keen to engage into that battle, they were standing. Arjuna asks Sri Krishna, and there was one condition, there was one funny thing that had happened when this entire arrangement of war was prepared. That Sri Krishna had offered either his army or himself to be part of this war. And what had happened was Duryodhana, he had chosen some of Sri Krishna's army rather than choosing Sri Krishna himself. And there was one more condition put: Sri Krishna himself will not fight. He will be mere spectator. Hmm. And he had to take up some role in that war. So, being a very good friend, a very dear friend of Arjuna, he opted to become the driver of Arjuna, the charioteer. So Sri Krishna took up the role of charioteer. And when these two mighty armies standing in front of each other, all the great warriors on both the sides, Arjuna telling Sri Krishna, I want to see with whom I'm going to fight and whom I'm going to defeat. Look at that confidence, look at that arrogance. And then suddenly, having seen the army on the opposite side, what Arjuna sees? His great grandfather Pitamaha Bhishma, again, with whom he is going to fight. His great guru Dronacharya, with whom he is going to fight. And all his cousins, Duryodhan, Dushasan, and that mightiest of the warriors, Kans. And having seen that, Arjuna gets into delusion. Arjuna starts getting horripilation. He, in fact, is about to slump down in the chariot. I don't want to fight. And under that scenario, under that background, when Arjuna is totally dejected, having thought over the fact that he has to fight his cousins, he has to fight his dearest grandfather, he has to fight his most revered teacher. Arjuna is all deluded, dejected, despondent, and he says no. And that's when Sri Krishna finally opens his mouth. In the second chapter that happens, that we will see as we go on reading. And then Sri Krishna gives this whole lot of advice to Arjuna. He takes him from one yoga to another. And now all these chapters in the yoga, in the Bhagavad Gita, they are termed as yoga. Like the first chapter is Arjuna Vishada Yoga. The 12th chapter is Bhakti Yoga. 11th chapter is Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga. Second chapter is Sankhya Yoga. So like this, each and every chapter is a yoga. Yoga is what? Yoga is a union. Yoga, which brings, which is in fact, which leads to the union of what? Of Jivatma with Paramatma. So that is the ultimate knowledge that a person can get from reading each chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, there are a lot of commentaries and translations of the Bhagavad Gita. Like what happens whenever I am traveling, I carry this small Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which is translated by most revered Swami Vireshwaranandaji. He was president of Ramakrishna Math, Ramakrishna Mission. A very small, very precise translation, and very much apt. Especially when I'm traveling, I carry this. Then otherwise, there is also this a bigger version of translation by Swami Swarupanandaji. Again, a publication of Ramakrishna Math. And here what Swami Swarupanandaji has done is, unlike most revered Swami Vireshwaranandaji's translation, where it is only shloka and English translation. Here Swami Swarupanandaji has given a word by word translation from Sanskrit to English, and then given the meaning of that verse, that shloka. There is also another wonderful commentary on the Bhagavad Gita which I have, which in fact this is a generational treasure that we have. This Bhagavad Gita Rahasya of Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak. This copy belonged to my grandfather, and so this is carrying names of 3 generations: D.K. Joglekar, S.D. Joglekar, and me. And now maybe after me, my sons will have this great fortune of going through the book. This is a Marathi commentary on Bhagavad Gita, Gita Rahasya, written by Bal Gangadhar Tilak. This was when he had written it when he was imprisoned in Mandale. In that prison he had written it, and then after he came out from the prison, then he got it printed in 1915. 105-year-old treasure it is now. But this is too complex in a sense. Tilak was hardcore karma yogi. So what he feels, the entire Gita is nothing but karma yoga. Although he says that yes, there are chapters on Bhakti Yoga, there are chapters on Jnana Yoga, that is Sankhya Yoga, there are philosophical discussions of knowledge, but primarily his entire commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, on as Gita Rahasya, is on Karma Yoga. And that's why he has even in the title, he has mentioned it as Srimad Bhagavad Gita Rahasya Athva Karma Yoga Shastra. According to him, Gita is in and out, nothing but Karma Yoga. But most of other commentators, they have felt that Bhagavad Gita, in fact, it is a combination of all the yogas. In fact, some people say they have kind of categorized these chapters in the Gita as first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita as Jnana Yoga, as Karma Yoga. First 6 chapters. Second 6 chapters from 7 to 12 as Bhakti Yoga, and from 13 to 18 as Jnana Yoga. So that is what some people, some commentators, they have categorized the chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, what Bhagavad Gita actually talks about. Some say it is first 6 chapters talking about knowledge, about karma, next 6 chapters talking about bhakti, and last 6 chapters talking about knowledge. Some commentators even say that when we talk of Brahman, we talk of Brahman under the Advaitic philosophical terms as Satchidananda, the existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. These are the 3 entities under which the Brahman exists. Existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. That is how Brahman is termed as. Now, some commentators, they say Bhagavad Gita, the first 6 chapters deal with this Sat, the existence part, which also goes in line with Karma Yoga. The the next lot of 6 chapters, it deals with Anandam, bliss, which comes through Bhakti Yoga. And then some commentators say the last 6 chapters, they are with Chit, that is knowledge, that is Jnana Yoga. So again, people have this kind of their own interpretation of Bhagavad Gita chapters, how they divide. But mostly I refer to the commentary which is written by, again, a sadhu from Ramakrishna order, Swami Chidbhavanandaji, who was a disciple of the second president of Sri Ramakrishna Math and Mission, Swami Shivananda, who himself was a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. And Swami Chidbhavanandaji, later he started his own Sri Ramakrishna Tapovanam in Tamil Nadu, and he wrote this commentary, which is quite elaborate. Every shloka he has, not only like Swarupanandaji, he has translated each Sanskrit word to English, having given the English translation, but he has also given his commentary. And the most attractive part of this commentary is at the end of most of the verses, most of the shlokas, he has included the teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, which goes in line with the meaning of that shloka. So this is the book, this is the commentary on Bhagavad Gita that I normally refer to whenever I have any need to refer to Bhagavad Gita, like while reading Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, when I'm reading that shlok and when I want to share the meaning of that shlok, I refer to the commentary Srimad Bhagavad Gita by Swami Chidbhavanandaji. So that is about the introduction of what we are going to take up during this reading, what we are going to read, the Bhagavad Gita as such. And I will just tell you in a gist that what Sri Ramakrishna or Swami Vivekananda, they have said about Gita. What Sri Ramakrishna says is, what is the essence of Gita? Once you read the entire Gita, what is the essence of Gita? What you actually learn from it? He says it is very simple. You repeat the word Gita 10 times, Gita, 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 and you end up with Tyagi, renunciation is the essence of Gita. That's what Sri Ramakrishna has interpreted. And renunciation means giving a world outwardly and inwardly. Outwardly may not be, all cannot take sannyas and go to forest or join any order. It is not everybody's lot. But at least inwardly you can renounce the things of this world. So that is Sri Ramakrishna's explanation of what is Gita. Then let's see what Swami Vivekananda says. Those who work without any consciousness of their lower ego are not affected with evil. for they work for the good of the world. To work without motive, to work unattached, brings the highest bliss and freedom. This secret of Karma Yoga is taught by the Lord Sri Krishna in the Gita. Now again, like Tilak, that Gita Rahasya is nothing but Karma Yoga Shastra. Swami Vivekananda also has this view that Bhagavad Gita, the secret of Karma Yoga, is taught by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. How to work unattached, how to perform selfless work. Even that is a tyaga, like Sri Ramakrishna says. Abandoning the fruits of your work is also a renunciation. Again, that is Gita. Then again, Swami Vivekananda says, if one reads this one shloka, yield not to unmanliness, O son of Pritha. Ill doth it become thee. Cast off this mean faint-heartedness and arise, O scorcher of thine enemies. That is the second shloka of the second chapter. Arise. Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna, arise and take on that, pick up your Gandhi, your bow, and be ready for the fight. So what Sri Krishna has told Arjuna is, Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samapasthitam anaryajushtamassvaryam akirtikaram arjunam. And that's how from the second shlok of Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna has started, bombarding Arjuna with this advice. Klaibyam masmagama partha. This is the third shloka which Sri Swami Vivekananda has narrated here. Klaibyam masmagama partha naitatva tyupapadyate kshaudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktotishta param tapa. O scorcher of foes, give up this unmanliness and get ready for fighting the enemy. So, Swami Vivekananda says, if one reads this shloka, he gets all the merits of reading the entire Gita, because that is the crux of the Gita that Swami Vivekananda had found in this third shloka of second chapter. For in this one shloka lies embedded the whole message of the Gita. And with this introduction today, we will stop here, and from next we will start reading the verse by verse, and let us see how it goes. Till when we can go ahead with this, at least we will make a start and see how it gives us also some kind of enlightenment. Jai Ramakrishna, Jai Thakur, Jai Ma.